Hello and welcome back to another ink review video. Thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully you will learn something new with me today. I am new to fountain pen inks and pens and everything, so this is a little bit of a journey I thought I'd take you along on, and I've been having a lot of fun so far, so hopefully you enjoy this. If there are any inks that you would like to see reviewed, drop it down a comment down below, and if I have it or if I can get it, we'll do a review. So this week or day or how long, I don't know how long it's been since my last video, but anyway, this time we are doing an ink by, I believe that's pronounced Wearingeul. I do not know how to pronounce that, but I hopefully got it close. I apologize. I will probably butcher all pronunciations of words that I do not know. All right, and this color is called the Glass Bead Game. And this is how the box looks. So I think maybe by the label, this should be maybe like a pink to green color. Yep. All right, and since I do store my ink bottles in boxes just so that the sunlight doesn't damage the inks, I'm going to carefully open. There we go. I try to keep the boxes nice. All right, so here's how it looks. And it looks like they do provide a swatch in there that I'm going to ignore because I don't want there to be any spoilers. So that's how the bottle looks. I thought this color in the packaging, like the online, it looked very pretty. So we'll see. You can see it's swirling in there. It's going to be a shimmery ink. Looks like it's got a lot of colors going on. This should be a lot of fun. Okay, so first what we're going to do is make a swatch on one of these swatch cards. And I will show you at some point how this is supposed to look over time. It's like you save the cards on a ring, that's why there's a hole. And then later on when you want to go back and reference your inks, you can find the swatch very easily. I used to think this was a waste of ink until I wanted a specific color and was like, oh, it would be nice if I had swatches. So we're doing this now. All right, so I guess that's why I'm a noob and I should just be listening to the people who have done this for a long time, because it seems like other people make swatches and there's obviously a reason for it. It's not to waste ink. So if you do start an ink collection, be sure to make swatches, because at some point you will forget how exactly one color looks, especially when you've got 4 or 5 that are similar, like maybe you have 4 or 5 reds or blues. Oh, well, I want a blue that looks kind of like this. Do I already have one? You can look at your swatches and determine if you already do and whether or not you need to buy any. Anyways, I'm rambling, I'm sorry. All right, so let's open this. Let's get the little glass. I'm going to stir this. I don't know if you can see the pretty around here on the glass, the pretty swirls. Anyways, this is really pretty. I like shimmer inks for that reason. One of the many reasons I like them is because in the glass bottle, when the ink is swirling around, it looks so pretty. All right, let's get that in there. So this is a paler color, or maybe my little dipper just isn't picking up enough. No, it's definitely like a muted purpley pink. Very pretty, very, very pretty. I don't think I have a color like this that I've tested, at least, because I do have some inks that I haven't made swatches of yet. Obviously that's why I'm doing this, but anyways, I'm going to stop laying down ink because otherwise I will saturate this fully. There's a spot there. I need ink. There we go. Okay, and then what I'll do is I will tilt this to the side a little bit because this ink is still fairly wet, because I want there to be more ink on one side than, oh, look at that, it's separating. How pretty. Okay, anyways, I'm going to set this aside to dry, and then I like to have a heavier concentration of ink on one side than the other so we can kind of compare. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to stop playing with this and let it dry over here. All right, so while that's drying, I'm going to test these out on 3 different kinds of paper. So if you're new, what I do is I like to test these on a cheap copy paper, HB32 copy paper, and then Tomo River paper. That way you can see what the inks look like on the different papers, because I found out the hard way that a lot of times the reason an ink is not performing the way I would like it to is because I'm using a paper that's the wrong kind, too cheap or something. So copy paper, this is the cheap stuff. We'll use this first. some inks perform just fine on copy paper, but other inks, maybe they have a property that you like or something, and you can't see that on cheap copy paper. You do actually have to use a nicer quality ink for whatever reason. Or sorry, a nicer quality paper is what I meant to say. Hang on this. There we go. Okay, that's better. All right. I'm sorry, the swatch was not behaving. It was moving around, so I needed to put it somewhere else. All right, so I'm going to stir this up. And the reason I'm stirring it is to get all those shimmers to float around. Be careful when you do that with the glass pen because you could chip the end. All right. Swirl this around. Some lovely little squiggles. This is a really pretty color. I don't know what the name of this ink is in reference to. I know that these inks, they all had names that were, some of them there were like in a reference to a certain thing. There were several that were like a Peter Pan theme and some that were like different books or something. So this might be one of the books, but I just haven't read. I don't know for sure. So if you know, maybe you could let us know. But it's a pretty color. And let's write the name here. And this is copy paper. Please excuse my poor handwriting. And then we'll do some slow lines. So already in the scribbles on the top left part of this page, I can see the colors separating a little bit. There's like a pale purple and then there's like a bluish color, and they're all kind of coming out. The colors are all kind of coming out. And there is the shimmer going on, which is a little more subtle than a lot of other shimmer inks, which is fine, especially if you don't want like to be totally overtaken by shimmer. Not everybody wants it to be the main focus of the ink. So this is really, what's nice about that is it lets the colors in the ink kind of shine through, which is nice. And I'll go ahead and rinse this and we'll start new for the next paper. All right, let's put this on for a second. And let me just see here. Yeah, the shimmer does show. Okay, that's very pretty shimmer. And shimmers typically, I've noticed, they show up after the ink dries. Like you can see them, but then as ink dries, it gets more and more obvious. So this is very pretty. I'm going to set this aside for now to finish drawing as I try the HP 32 paper. And this is just a smoother, higher quality copy paper. I think the smoothness of it is what makes it work so nice for fountain pen inks, is because the smooth surface makes it take longer for the ink to dry by a couple of seconds, and that's just long enough to let the ink properties show off before the ink dries. So once again, we're going to stir this, make sure all the shimmers and everything and all the properties of the ink are nicely mixed. Then we'll go ahead and do just like before. So first of all, this is a better writing experience. If you've never used the HP 32 and you've only ever used regular copy paper, if you switch, you'll be able to feel the difference under the pen. It's just nicer to write with. I don't feel like my pen is catching the fibers in the paper. And the color, at least at first, seems to be leaning more towards the purple than the pink like it did in the other paper. And this is HP 32. All right, and we'll do some slow lines. Now as the ink dries and the colors seem to be coming out, it might change. That might be less purple and more pink, or I don't know how it's going to behave on this paper. So far it's looking really good. Now if there are any other inks that you would like to see me review, definitely leave a comment down below. I'd love to try some of your suggestions. And if you want to get these different papers, I should have some links down below, some Amazon links, and they are affiliate links, so it helps me out if you use them, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. So if you would like to do that, I would appreciate that very much. And hopefully anything I get back from Amazon I can put towards more inks to review. That would be great. Okay, yeah, so this looks completely different than from the compared to the copy paper. That's kind of interesting. that a second to dry, but I mean, already there's a noticeable difference. You can see this looks more pink, more of like a mauve-y color almost or something, and then, but over here you can see there's almost like a blue-green, like a teal kind of a color showing through underneath, and then where it's pink here, over here it looks more purple. So we'll see if it keeps that as it dries. The writing looks very similar as far as the color, that pinky purple color, but on this side you can see some of that teal peeking through. So this color, I mean, it just depends on how you prefer the ink to look on the paper. So if you prefer it to look this way, then the copy paper is fine. If you want these different properties to show, I recommend the HP32 so far. It's not, I don't think these swatches here are fully dry yet, but we'll give this a few more seconds. We got to test the Tomo River paper. And this paper is very, very thin. If you've never used it before, it's very thin, so it almost feels like it's not going to support the ink. It's very smooth as well, and it does great with fountain pen ink. I've been very happy with it. So let's go ahead and stir this up. Okay. Move that out of the way so I can see. Okay. Then we'll put the same swatches down. This paper is definitely more expensive than the HP32 paper or copy paper if you've never purchased it before. More expensive paper doesn't mean that it's going to be better necessarily. Oops. Sorry, I had like an itch in my throat. I was trying not to cough in your ear. All right, Tomo River. All right, so what I was saying is expensive paper doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to like it more or that it's better necessarily, because the different papers allow different properties of the ink to show through. So if there's a property that you don't like or that you don't care about and it shows up more on the expensive papers, then you may not want to use that. If you just care about the shimmers, for example, the shimmers will appear on any paper. So if that's what got your attention was the shimmer and you're like, oh, I want a shimmering ink, then it's not going to matter what paper you use for the most part. Yeah, so, all right, this is looking really pretty though. The shading is really showing nicely. You see all the different color variations very clearly on this paper. And over here on these little swatches, all the colors are shining through. That pinky purple and that teal color are coming through very clearly. So this is one that really shows off well in the nicer paper for sure. Definitely worth looking into getting this paper if you like all those properties of the ink. Now if you don't care about that, then you don't need to. And I just realized something. I forgot to write the name of the ink on the swatch we made. So all right, it's still a little bit wet, but look at that. There's that teal I was talking about right here. Here's the purple and here's that pink. So it does actually show off all those colors without any problem. Let me write this down here, get some ink. All right, so this is the Glass Bead Game. By Wearingeul. Let me make sure I got the name spelled correctly on here. Wearingeul or something. Wearingeul. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I can say that I do like the ink. So we'll give that a second to dry. And then what I'm going to do is put that in front of a fan for a second. I'll pause the video so it'll only be a second or two for you and a lot longer for me while I put it in front of the fan to dry. I put way too much ink down. I think what it was is when it went down so light, I thought it wasn't going down at all, like the ink wasn't transferring off the swatch, the little glass dauber, but it was, so that was my fault. So let me go dry this real quick. Yeah, see, look at it seeping back up there. That's really wet. That's more ink than I intended to put down, so I apologize. I will be right back. Alright, I am back with the much drier swatch here. So you can definitely see the purple to pink with that teal bluish green in the middle, and look at the shimmer. It's so pretty. And down here on the writing, you can really see the different variation in all the colors. This is a beautiful, beautiful ink. I did not expect it to look anything like this. This is gorgeous. If you are okay with a lighter color, you probably would love this. I'm going to shine the light just to show off those shimmers a little bit better. And the shimmer and the writing, I don't know if the camera is picking this up, but it definitely, yeah, you can see it in real life. The camera is being a pain. All right, let's get the Tomo River. All right, so again, you've got all that variation in the color. I'll show it without the light first. And then the shimmers are definitely there. The shimmers are very pretty, but more subtle than some of the other shimmer inks that I've used. So like down there in the lines that I've drawn, you can really see them. So there are some shimmer inks that are just like encased in shimmer, and that's not the case with this one. You can see it there in the swatches, and I'm trying to get the light to pick it up, but there's definitely shimmer in all of this, but it is more subtle, which is nice because it doesn't overpower the color of the inks. See down there on the lines that I drew at the bottom, and this is just plain copy paper, so you still get those shimmers showing up, and you get a little bit of shading, but it's not as nice as it is in these other papers where you can really tell the difference. And then one other thing. So I had a piece of a paper towel that I dipped in like a tiny drop of the ink. And look at that, it goes from like purple to green to blue. It's like almost like half the rainbow right there. It's so pretty. So there are so many colors in this. I'll show you without the light. Hold on. Just in case it matters. If this camera would focus. Yep, there we go, that's better. It's having trouble. Oh, anyways, but yeah, you can see this lovely variation in the colors in the paper towels. I don't like using paper towels because of how much ink they absorb, but there was like one drop of ink there, and I thought, well, soak that up. And when I did, it just broke out into all those colors, and I thought, well, that's fantastic. So that explains why we're seeing so many beautiful colors in this ink. So yes, if you like this ink and like this review, I would definitely get a bottle of this and try it out if you have a journal or something with some nice paper so it can show off all the colors. And if you like this video, please click like and subscribe so you can see more, and I will see you again soon, hopefully. Talk to you later.